All right. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes, I can
good.
hear you.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much. So, again, thank you for your time. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Good evening if it's already end of the day for you. Welcome to our very final webinar for this year. So hopefully after this session, we are expecting to see you guys soon in Liverpool and for us to commence with you in terms of your study journey. For today, we essentially touching on attendance policy. As you may be aware, that is directly linked to your visa and also your success as a student with us, particularly for yourselves as international students. And so we want to spend some time to really discuss on attendance. So at least you can ask your questions and also get any sort of information that you need as you prepare to join us. So I'll go ahead and share the info we have. It will not be too long. It will be brief. So hopefully I'm hoping that if there are not too many questions, we can finish on time today. So just give me 1 second to put up the information. So I'm hoping you can see my screen. And so to start with, attendance at Hope and the requirement legally on that or regards to that is that for you coming in as international students, all of you are coming in on full-time programs. So be it bachelor's or master's, we are welcoming you in as a full-time student. And so once you've applied or you are waiting or you've secured your student visa, what this means is that your visa is legally tied to your physical presence in class. So online only study, it's not permitted so long as you are granted the student visa to come to the UK to study full time. And so, I mean, with after COVID, we know there are a lot of study options now available where you can do blended learning, or even sometimes you can do full degree virtually, depending on where you are, where you can be in your home country, or you can even be in the UK, but then have the course run fully online. And so those options are available. However, what we are trying to put across with this slide and with this information is that the course that you have been given are all full-time programs, and especially for you who have been granted visa, what then it means is that we expect you to come in class and to be physical on campus to take the course. There's a 10-day rule which you need to be aware of, and that means that when you miss 10 consecutive classes or 10 consecutive sessions without an exceptional reason, as a university, there is a requirement on us to report you to the UKVI or the Home Office for your visa to be withdrawn. And so the student visa that you have been given, as I mentioned earlier, is directly tied to your attendance. And so if, let's say, in a week or in a month or in 2 months, consistently miss classes for 10 consecutive times without exceptional reasons, and we will come to the exceptional reasons later because it's not every reason given for failing to attend a class that will be accepted. So what will be accepted are exceptional circumstances. And so if you miss class for 10 consecutive times, we will have no option but to inform UKVI that you are not attending despite getting the visa, and then they would write to you indicating that your visa will be withdrawn and you'll be given 60 days of which you are to leave the UK. Now, again, there's another rule called the 80% rule, which, or what that means is that you must maintain at least 80% attendance. Falling below this will trigger warnings and potential visa cancellations. So, of course, once you come and enroll, you have your timetable for the full term, or because usually we do it by term. So your first term or first semester will be between September to December. And so within that period, we would expect that you would attend at least 80% or more of your classes that are scheduled for you to attend. Now, where the warnings come in is if, per the records that we have, your attendance is falling below this requirement, you will be invited for meetings to ascertain what is accounting for those sort of going below the requirement. And then the university would have in sort of mitigating measures. If there are any support or help that you need, those things will be provided. But then, I mean, if after all those sort of additional provisions, or if you are failing to attend the meetings or not even meeting the warnings as are being sent out to you, then again, that is the point at which Home Office or UKVI will be informed to get involved. Arrival and enrollment. So you must attend all timetabled classes starting after you arrive in the UK, even if your enrollment is not complete. Now, what we mean by this is that, for instance, for those of you who are on the PGCE program, your arrival and enrollment is starting from Monday, the 3rd of September. So what we expect is that by 3rd of September, all of you would have been in the UK, come to register officially for your course at the enrollment stage, and then commence your course from the 3rd of September. For the rest of you on the other programs, your arrival enrollment starts from the 14th of September. Now, we know that for visa reasons, or sometimes travel delays or other emergencies, there are cases where people will not arrive, especially for the 14th September start date. For PGCE, because of the mandatory placements involved, if you don't come in by the 3rd, usually it's difficult to extend for you. But then for the other courses, we have a latest enrollment date, which is the 2nd of October. So let's say that you've arrived in the UK. For some reason, your registration and enrollment is not complete, but you are aware that there is a class that is going on. You should attend the class, even if your enrollment hasn't been completed yet. So then we know that at least you are around and then you are kind of joining your classes. You shouldn't say that because enrollment isn't complete, you are waiting for that to be done before you attend classes, unless you don't know. But so long as you are being informed when you have been given your timetable and you are in the UK, please make sure you find where the class is happening and go and attend. It helps you so you don't fall behind in any of the lessons that you are going through. And it also confirmed to us that indeed you are also meeting your responsibility as an international student. Now, someone or you may be wondering, how is attendance recorded? Or how do you check in to confirm when you attend a class? So we use an app which is called seats. You don't need to know the details and everything now. Once you're going through your enrollment and registration details, you will get all the information and everything that you need to know about it. But it's just to point to you what we use. So you use the Seat One app for your check-in anytime that you attend your class. Now you must be on time and stay for the entire class. So if the class is starting at 11, I mean, like we are having 11 a.m. UK time for this webinar, please make sure by 5-10 minutes to the start of the class, you are around or you are in the room where the class is happening, just to make sure you check in for your class. And if the class is for 2 hours, as an example, you need to stay for that 2-hour period. Checking in without staying is considered fraud, and it can lead to your visa refusal. So we've seen instances where people will come, check in at 11, as the example we are using, and after 10, 15, 20 minutes, they just leave and never to come back again. I mean, once you've checked in that you are in that class, what you are committing yourself to is that you are staying for the duration of that class. And so if you leave and don't come back again, that is considered to be more of a deception. And so please, once you have checked in, make sure you stay. If for some reason you need to attend to some stuff, please attend to them. Ideally, you should leave the time for your class for the class only, but maybe emergency or something happens that you need to step out. But once you're done, make sure you come back in. So by the time the class is ending, there is evidence that you stayed throughout the period. So checking in without staying is not something that is acceptable. And we've had instances from other places where I know other students check in for others. So student A comes in and then they try and check in for student B, maybe using their ID or other means. Please, we do not expect you to get yourself involved in those sort of practices. So once you check in, stay for the entire class. In terms of lateness, so if you are late or you leave early, you are marked as absent. And so tutors are not required to manually check you in if you missed part of the session. So as I mentioned earlier, we expect that you arrive on time and do your activity for the day. If the class is 2 hours starting at 11 and you come in at 11:30 or 11:45, I mean, technically you are not in. You can come in and listen, but then that will start counting towards your absence. And where you hit more than the 10 consecutive times, as we mentioned, or you are going below the 80% that you are required to stay, then warnings and discussions will start coming in. And so please make sure you attend your classes and you don't turn up late. UK may be new to some of you in terms of traffic and in terms of transport and all that. We expect that you arrive on time, go through orientation and induction just to understand the timetables and understand the traffic situation, because being late for class in the name of traffic, it's not an acceptable excuse. So you should be able to know all those sort of info and plan well ahead. If you know where you're staying or traffic will delay you, then set out a bit more early, get to campus to settle. There are many places that you can spend time whilst you wait for your class to start. So leaving and contact details. Proximity wise. So you are expected to live close to campus. Commuting delays are not accepted as an excuse for absence or lateness. So as I mentioned earlier. Now, the UKVI rule or the UKVI has rules regarding this. I think you are allowed to live sort of some 50-mile radius within where your university is. Okay. We would expect that for majority of you coming in, you will be living in the city of Liverpool. And that makes life and commuting a bit more easier for everyone. So then you can easily get to campus on time because your classes are not the same. Some of you may have morning classes, some of you may have evening or afternoon or late classes. So it depends on when your timetable is fixed and you need to be available for those times that are given. I know sometimes there are people who live outside Liverpool. So for instance, we've got students sometimes who live in Manchester or maybe Chester or like any nearby places. That's fine, so long as it's within the acceptable sort of proximity or radius that UKVI allows. But like I earlier said, make sure that if you are not on campus, so some of you will be living in Egbert Park, you can get the university bus to come to Hope Park for your main campus or for your main classes. Some of you may live at the Creative Campus, of course, the accommodation there. If you are living in the Hope Park campus, there are also accommodation there, which usually is just 5-10 minutes walk to your class. So you don't need commuting or you don't need to commute any long journeys. But if you are in Egbert Park or you are in other places within the city or outside the Liverpool city, make sure that you know your bus times and your commuting journey, factoring in traffic, delays, cancellations, etc. So for instance, there are people who live in Manchester who may be coming to Liverpool for their classes or even Chester and they'll be on the trains. Make sure or note that trains can be delayed, trains can be cancelled for emergency situation. So if let's say your train takes 40 minutes to get to Liverpool and you set out 40 minutes for your class and for any reason the train is cancelled or delayed along the journey, then you would miss your class or you'll be absent. So if it takes you 40 minutes, maybe set out 2 hours earlier just to make up for those sort of distance or those sort of journeys. So these are practical things that we want you to start thinking and planning towards. If you are walking distance because you live at Hope Park or Creative Campus, then that's fine. That shouldn't be much of a problem. But again, make sure you wake up early and you set off early for your class. Once you enroll or register, part of the requirement will be for you to provide your residential address. So where you are living. So, again, if you're living in university accommodation, you provide that accommodation address. If you are living in private accommodation, be it halls or homes in the city or wherever, you also provide us with that information. Now, we know instances where people change addresses. So let's say you are arriving now this month or next month, you're not too sure of where you want to live. And so maybe you've just booked an Airbnb or you just coming in to lodge with a friend or family to now take time to sort of look for a place that will be your permanent home. And so whilst registration or whilst at the registration stage, you gave us that sort of temporary address that you are using. Now, if you do get your permanent place and you move in, we would expect that within 7 days of this change or this move in, you update on the system called My Hope. So every one of you will get My Hope account once you complete your registration. So you can go on the portal or that app and then update your address. So at any point in time, we as a university having a responsibility for you because you have come in to the UK on our cast should know where you live. And so if there's anything that we have to report to the Home Office or there's anything about you that we need to support you or come to your help, we know exactly where you are. And so if you do change your address, make sure you update it on your account within 7 days. Tuition fees, and even I would say accommodation fees as well. And so for, again, every one of you, especially those of you who are self-funded, you know that you have tuition fees. And if you are living in a university residence, you'd also have accommodation fees to pay. Now, as part of your visa requirement, you have, most of you, paid part of your fees, whether full or even some cases 50%. And then you've provided financial evidence to the university and to the UKVI to say that you have evidence or you have the funds to meet your remaining fees and all living expenses, including your accommodation or rent. And so when you come for the tuition fee, for instance, the remaining fees or remaining 50%, we give you up to 3 months to complete the payment. So once you arrive in September, we'd expect that by December or early January, you should have finished paying. And for accommodation, I know sometimes they give about 3 tranches of payment, maybe one when you arrive, one around December, and around March, thereabout. So they have the payment plan which they would give you once you sign up to your accommodation contract and check into our halls. Now, if you fail to meet the terms of these payments and you do not have an agreement with finance in place as alternative to what was agreed or what was scheduled, then that is when you get what we call financial block. So failure to pay fees on time results in a financial block, losing access to classes and to buildings. So there are sort of apps and portals that you would access, like Moodle, for your course modules and assignments and reading list and all that. Once you get a financial block, you will be locked out from accessing some of these online portals or platforms. And your ID card, which you would use to access some buildings and certain classrooms, could also be blocked. And so you realize that the card will be deactivated. So then when you use it to try and access certain places, it wouldn't work until you settle out your payment or your debt. So it's just all measures to make sure that that sort of promise that you made to the university, that you have your funds in place to sort out your debt or your finances, you are keeping to that aspect of your sort of bargain. If you have any challenges, go to the finance team, go to the student services, speak to them, and then they'll be able to listen to you and discuss what options are available. There's also the issue of visa risk, where after 10 working days of financial suspension, the university has the mandate to withdraw your visa sponsorship, and you would usually have to leave the UK within 60 days, as I mentioned. So once you get the finance block and you don't rectify it, and then you don't engage with the university, and there's no sort of alternative agreement as to the way forward, then they have no option than to report you to the UKVI. Sometimes people do ask about travels. So then they ask, okay, I'm full-time student. Does it mean that once I'm in the UK, once I start my course with Liverpool Hope, I can never travel anywhere during the duration of my course? So again, there are restrictions. So you don't have unfettered access to travel, meaning that maybe once you're on the course, almost every week or every month, you are traveling days to Europe, to other places, or traveling back home because you're homesick, that sort of thing. So overseas travel is not permitted during term time. And so, as I mentioned earlier, once you start with the registration, or even by now, some of you, as you start the enrollment, once your visa is in, you will start seeing the school academic calendar for the year. And when you see the calendar for the year, it will specify what we call term time. And term time are those periods where you have classes ongoing, you have seminars, or you have sessions all happening, you have exams, assignments, and those things. So you're looking at times that are not holidays, or time that are not lot of like sort of university being closed. So for instance, during Christmas holidays and Easter holidays, the university is closed. During the summer holidays, when you have the long vacation, the university is also closed. So there are official holidays that are sort of added within the term time, or within the calendar for the year. And so if you plan to travel outside the UK, then please put your traveling time within these holiday periods. So if you decide to go to France or Switzerland, or even go back home during, let's say, Christmas period, and it falls within those days that the university is officially closed, that's fine. But then you don't arrive in September, and let's say after 2 weeks or in October, you book the holiday in Germany, or you booked another holiday in France, or within the period where we call term time. That is not allowed. And if you do travel and miss your classes or any of the things that you need to do as a student, then that's when the university would have to report to the Home Office. Now, of course, we know emergencies happen, and so there are always exceptional circumstances. So when there is the need for exceptional travel, i.e. to travel during term time for emergencies such as bereavement, then you must apply for exceptional authorization to travel through Moodle and then provide evidence. But even doing that, it's not just a guarantee that once you've requested that, then the travel will just be permitted. So that would have to go through a panel for them to consider your request and the evidence given, and then make a decision, all in your best interest, so you can continue or finish up on your course, and then also don't have to get any issues with the Home Office. Again, sometime many of you may have questions regarding working rules. So term time limit, during term time, you can only work maximum 20 hours per week. If you are on a full-time bachelor's degree, master's degree, or maybe PhD programs, if you are on the International Foundation course, then your hours is limited to only 10 hours every week during term time. Now, when the university is on vacation, when we are closed, students can work full-time or up to 40 hours a week. Now, note that for students studying the master's programs, the vacation period, especially the summer break, is not considered as a vacation for you, in that that is the time that the university usually give to students to do their dissertation. And so how it works usually for you coming in September is like you have September to December being your first term. So you do all your classes, your assignments, everything. You have exams, maybe end of December or early January when you have returned from the Christmas break. Then you have January or February till somewhere April for your second term, where again you have your classes, seminars, and everything. Then between, let's say, April, May, through the summer to August, that is the period where you are doing your dissertation. Now, sometimes some students take it that because they are not coming in for physical classes, and because it's the long vacation period, they can also go out there and work. However, your dissertation is considered a full-term work. And so that is not like a part-time work that you're doing. It's a full-term sort of work that an academic assignment or exercise that you are doing. So during those hours, you are not expected to then go and do this 40 hours a week work. So the university will not provide you any letter or confirmation to that effect. And if you don't have that confirmation for that period, even employers will not give you any work more than the approved 20 hours limit. So that is something for you to take note, particularly for those of you on the 1-year taught master's program. And then on prohibited work, you cannot be self-employed, you cannot be a professional sports person, or you cannot hold a permanent full-time job in the UK, because your visa is that you are here for being a full-time student. And so, for instance, you can't have a full-time studies and a full-time job at the same time. The two cannot work. So, for instance, you have a full-time job 9 to 5. Meanwhile, within that same 9 to 5, you have classes and seminars and tutorials that you need to attend. You can hold the two at the same time. So that's something you need to take note of. So that's it essentially on our attendance policy regarding relating to us as a university and also to UKVI. I'm hoping you've got the information. At this point, we would take questions if there are any from you. So thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions. You can raise your hand if you have any, and then I would call you out. Okay, so we will start with you, Ikram. Ikram, if you can unmute yourself and speak.
Okay. Good morning. So I have 3 questions. It's concerning you said that for those doing masters, the summer break is considered to be time for them to carry out their dissertation. So is it that in accordance to what you previously said, you said that during the break that students can work up to 40 hours and did no problem. But so is there like my question is there a time limit to the number of hours master students can work during the holidays? And then my second question is in a situation whereby someone lives outside of the campus and then decides maybe after like 3 months to move into one of the like the Agback Park hall, is there going to be space still, like would there still be space reserved, and is it going to be possible? And also during the holidays, you said the school closes down. If there is like an agreement, or maybe there has been an inquiry on whether they can stay within the holiday, if I'm sure there are people that probably don't have families like in the UK, so is it possible to stay in the hall? And I think my third question is concerning the DBS. So I wanted to inquire whether we still need to bring police reports when submitting our documents for enrollment. Or because for example, I have already submitted my police reports to DBS via email. So I wanted to know whether I still need to, or will I still be required to submit it again? So yeah, those are my questions.
Cool. All right. Thank you. I'll take them one by one so you get them. So the first one is in terms of time limit for master students during the summer holiday. So because that is not a break for them, they will still be kept on the 20 hours work. So you can't do more than the 20 hours when you are doing your dissertation. So that is the limit on, because that is still considered as a term time. And the limit on term time is 20 hours per week. In terms of space at Egbert after later, if you want to apply after arrival, it will depend on availability. So you will need to then email or check or visit the accommodation office or speak to them. If they do have space, they will be able to get you in on a contract. Usually how it works is you sign a contract that covers the duration of your study, because they don't do mostly short contracts. So like, let's say 2 months or 3 months. And then if people leave and no one comes in, because there are periods in the year where we don't get students coming in. So our main intakes is September and January. And about 80% of students will all come in September. And so mostly if you want the accommodation, they will want you to book it in September and book it for the year. So then they know that it's occupied. But then there are instances where, let's say, we will still have extra space because not many people took up the bed capacity. And so if that is available, and let's say you're already 3 months into the term, but you want to move in, then they will do a contract with you for the remaining duration. So that is based on availability. The third one is whether you can stay on campus during the vacation or holiday, especially for people who don't have families in the UK that they can move to. So yes, that is possible. So there are two contracts that you can sign. When I said you sign your contract for the whole year, you can sign a contract for the term time only, which can be, let's say, up to about 44 weeks in the year. Or you can sign a contract to include the summer or holiday periods, which can be up to about, let's say, 56 weeks. Because, for instance, for those who have family homes in the UK, maybe during the Christmas or the long summer break, they want to go and live at home so they don't have to pay rent. And so they sign the contract and live in the halls for just the term time period. But like you said, for those coming from overseas who don't have family, you can sign and stay during Christmas and during the long vacation period. That is fine. There are contracts that cover those periods. And finally, on the DBS, I don't have a direct answer to that on DBS, on the police report specifically. But then what happens is at registration, the general rule is that we want to see the hard official or original copies of the document that you've used. So like he said, the police report you've had, you only have scanned and sent a soft copy, similar to your certificate, transcripts, and the other things. When you come for registration or enrollment, we want to see the official or the original hard copy. And so I would say if you have it with you, travel with it. So then when you come and we need to see that one, you can be able to present it. That is better than, because I've seen instances where people have not traveled and now they've arrived and they have to call home for the document to be posted to them, and the inconvenience and sometimes the risk of losing it and all that. So if you have the hard copy, please make sure you travel. I believe I've covered all your issues, and so I'll move on to Oluwatobi.
Hi, Paul. Thank you very much. I think I have two questions right now.
Mm,
The first one is as regards the attendance. You said
mhm,
about 80% attendance and all.
mm,
And I've heard of instances where even students that are meeting up with the requirement of at least 80% or more attendance do
mm,
get non-attendance emails, like maybe their attendances have not been recorded so far. What
mm,
happens in there? And if a student should receive that sort of email, what is the student expected to do? Should the
mm,
students have to provide evidences of being in class or attending classes all along before receiving the mail of non-attendance, or what
mm,
does the student have to do, and what will the university do in that case? And the second one, I don't know if this is the platform, but I just have to
mm,
ask as regards the
mm,
visa delays
mm,
majority of students are experiencing right now from the UKVI. What
mm,
sort of support can the university give to students, especially now that the resumption is fast approaching? September 14th, and I think you said earlier as well, PGC students, September 3rd, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if everyone is experiencing these visa delays, what support can the university give to students to ensure, even after paying the going through the UKVI paid email inquiry and stuff like that, the delay is still persisting? What support can the
Okay.
university give to students in that regard? So those are my two questions.
No problem. Thank you. Very good question. So first, in terms of non-attendance emails, so I think that is part of the reason why the app or technology was brought in. So then there can be sort of an audit trail or evidence. And so if indeed the students did attend and logged in appropriately on the system, then of course the attendance should be recorded. But where there are anomalies, of course, the good thing with us, especially at Hope, is that since we are not a very massive university and we have really very small class sizes, for every class that you attend, most at times people will be able to know and confirm whether indeed you were in attendance or not. And some sort of, if there are any activities or any assignments or any group works that took place that you were involved, there should be some sort of evidence on that side. So I would say for us at Hope, it shouldn't really be a big problem. If that happens and the student is very definitely certain that they did attend, then they need to approach the course lead or the lecturer for that discussion, with also evidence or sort of support from other students who were present and who were marked sort of present at the activities that happened for which they were part of, and provide that sort of evidence. Once there is that evidence available, that can be rectified. And so that shouldn't be a problem for you if you do get any of such emails. So just make sure that at least you are seen, because that's also sorry, another important thing when others would also have to vouch for your attendance. Because I remember, I mean, there are instances where people are in class and sometimes they just go sit, hide at the back, don't participate in anything, don't get involved in much, and then just walk out. So if you do that and something happens, no one knows and people cannot vouch for you. So it's not a big problem, to be honest, so long as you are present and there are others like the lecturer or other course mates who are able to confirm that indeed you were there. On the issue of the visa delays, yes, we have seen a few instances of delays for this term. However, I must also add that we've also seen quite a lot of visas being issued. So compared to what we experienced last January, where there was sort of widespread delay across everywhere, this September seemed to be a bit quite different. So yes, we've heard of, and you're not the only one telling us of this, we've heard from other students who maybe applied for visa way back in June, and for some cases till now, don't even have a decision after even submitting what UKVI additional information that were requested in July. We are in August, they still don't have a decision. And so what usually happens is UKVI treats the application as individual application between you, the applicant, being the student, and then the UKVI. So they don't get the university involved that sort of much. However, where we are seeing, for instance, with the PGC students, or we seeing that the start date that we've given you being the 3rd or the 14th, is approaching or has arrived and you still don't have a decision, then at that stage, we can go to them to inquire on your behalf. And so they only sort of give us update when it is at that exceptional situation where it might affect your arrival on time. But then where they know that you can still get your decision and still have some time to travel before your course starts, they will not involve us, even if we go and get ourselves involved to follow up. And so we have that sort of restriction, but we are hoping that keep us involved, especially when you start seeing extreme delays, particularly with the student immigration team. Message them on CashShield, drop them an email to studentimmigration@hope.ac.uk, and then they can pick things up and help you when we've perceived that you might be unfortunately delayed for your classes. So I believe I've answered them. Okay. Then I would move on to Sudais, please.
Paul, Mr. Paul, I have a question that you mentioned in your voice that the latest date of this course is master course is 2nd October. Until that the UKVI didn't give visa, so our case will be withdrawn or not. This is my first question, and my second question is that I heard from someone that the Hope University Hope Park didn't provide accommodation for master students. So it is right or not? These are my questions.
No problem. So on the first one, if by 2nd of October you have still not arrived for your course, then we will have two options. Your current CAS will be withdrawn, and if we have the course available in the next available intake, which is likely or which is January, then you will be deferred to that intake and you will be asked to reapply for your visa at that stage. If we don't have a January intake, then it will be deferred to September. The reason being that by 2nd of October, if you have not yet secured visa, it's likely that UKVI will reject your visa application. Or it's likely that even if your visa is granted, when you are traveling, you might be turned away by immigration officers on the basis that it's too late for you to join your course. Okay, and so that is why the university would then take that sort of proactive approach to withdraw the class. So it doesn't go against your record as having visa refusal or being turned away. Because that could also be, you would have to declare that, and that can affect your future visa application. And so that is what happens if you're still not here by the 2nd of October. In terms of accommodation for master students, that is not true. So we have 3 campuses across the city of Liverpool. The first one is at the Hope Park campus, where we will have almost about 80% of our students will have their classes there. We do have about 600 bed capacity at Hope Park. However, because that is very close to almost all the services that we provide as a university, the preference of that accommodation usually is for undergraduate students because they are a bit younger. They want to be a bit more closer to services, and we want to give them the needed support. From experience, what we realized that most of the times master students are people who are kind of a bit more experienced and matured. They don't need like sort of handling on a lot of things. And for their own sort of privacy and independence, they want to live a bit away from the campus and then commute. So we do have an accommodation called the Egbert Park campus, and that is where every international or master student stay. That is university owned. That has about 500 bed capacity and is just only for Liverpool Hope University students. So if you want that accommodation, it's open now. You can go through the website, book it. What happens is that we do have a shuttle bus that commutes that campus to the Hope Park campus. And that bus is free for students. So you don't pay to use it. You only use your student ID and then you can just use the bus. It will take you about 20 to 30 minutes on the bus from there to get to the campus. And you can use it. It runs every 1 hour during term time. So we do have accommodation for master students at Liverpool Hope. Okay. Any additional questions? All right. If there is no more, Amanda, any contribution, any comment, anything you want to also add based on the presentation and the questions that have come up?
No, not at the moment, but just a kind reminder to all of our students, because a global center probably will sending out the invitation in the next few weeks regarding the induction for international students, as well as a city tour. So that probably you will receive this very soon.
Okay, so please keep an eye in your emails and get ready for the induction. The good thing is that we've agreed as international team to also be part of the induction this time round going forward. So for some of you, you've been with us throughout these webinars for months. Some of you have met in person when I visited your countries, but then when you arrive, we would also at least be in the induction week with you, so we can meet you in person and continue to offer our support as you go along. So if you do see me or Amanda or any of the colleagues that you might have seen somewhere, just come along, say hello, introduce yourself, and let's talk and let's help you. By September, October, when you're arriving, it will be a bit cold, so prepare yourself. I know you already know of these, so get yourself ready, prepared, and then anything that you need, talk to us. There's nothing like any simple or silly thing to ask. Just ask and get the help. I mean, there's no harm in asking. You invest in a lot of your resource and your time to come and study for your future. And that's what you've paid for. So ask and get the support. So then your life, your stay, your enjoyment at Liverpool will be good. We know you have a good experience, but don't keep things too much to yourself, particularly when there is help available. So thank you for your time. That I said earlier will be our last webinar unless something comes up and some other people have any other topics or issues for which reason we need to organize another webinar. Other than that, we look forward to seeing you all from 3rd or 14th of September. We wish you all the best in your preparation and in your travels. Wish you safe journeys, and hopefully we look forward to meeting you all in person. I don't know, Amanda, if you can quickly put on your video, at least so they can get to see your face. So in case they see you anywhere on campus or in Liverpool, at least they can approach you. So are you able to do that maybe before we, yeah, good. So that's my colleague Amanda and myself here as well. So just at least keep an eye on the face in case you see us anywhere on campus. Walk to us, say hello. We are both in the international team. Even if it's not within our area to help you, at least we can direct you to the right office. We'll be able to support you. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day, and hopefully we'll see you next month. Bye, everyone.
Bye now.